And so this is a book I started in April and only finished in May because it is a big boy. It is the Iliad by Homer, the classic among classics, the epic poem about Achilles, and about an epic poem about Achilles sitting in his tent, not wanting to participate in the war because he's angry with Agamemnon. That's the summation of the whole poem. It's a very unfair summation, but it's a pretty good summation for most of it. The hero sits in his tent most of the time. This is a great thing. This is really, in scope, an epic. It is amazing. And this is the Alexander Pope version, so he tried to keep it in, I'm going to try to say that word, iambic pentameter. The rhymes. He tried to keep rhyming the whole time, as it was meant to. Oh, this the big larger than life characters like Ajax and Hector. Yeah. Even Helen, when the few times we get to hear from Helen. Paris, it's fascinating. You see, I realized how little I know about it. I didn't realize how little I actually knew about this because this doesn't end where I think it ends. No, the wooden horse, is not in the Iliad. This starts 10 years into the Trojan War and ends before the Trojan War is done as well. Because it wanted to tell a specific story about some of the events of Achilles and the actions he did. Although, still, Achilles, for being the main protagonist, features a lot less in the story than you would think. Because he's sitting in his tent, and that's it. I'm gonna keep hammering on the fact that Achilles was sitting in his play tent. This is what Homer did to this, and actually how old this is. It's amazing. It's amazing. And and what Alexander Pope did in translating this, awe-inspiring. I can't believe it. And the vivid imagery that it conjures up. And the battles you kind of feel those battles, even though they don't necessarily say so specific and like, he blocked it with this, did like this specific. No, it's more get to the point type of, but it still feels like you're seeing it all. And the gods and all their shenanigans in here. That's so, the gods and their shenanigans in this book. Craziness. Fascinating. And the fickleness of the gods. I could see how this, Erickson once talked about how it influenced some of his, and you could see that. Especially the conniving gods and how they influence the stuff. You can definitely see it. One of the things that Homer does really well, it's kind of a detraction and a thing that there's so many characters. Like you sometimes they're just throwing names at you, and you're like, I have to reread that just to make sure on which side this person is right now. Because also it's not in the easiest dialect, because I do want to one day read one of the more modern translations, which is easier, and just so I could you follow it along easier than. But this is still meant to be the poem, the epic poem. Pope translated the poem, and it's amazing. It's amazing. What I do like about it is the way that he can introduce a character that they already tell you, okay, this one's about to die. He dies like this, but then they would give a little bit of his backstory right after he dies, or a little bit of his backstory right before he ends up dying or something happening bad to him. And yet, how they get you to like give this, because these are not just random people getting killed. No, they all have a story. They all have a backstory, and we'll give you their quick backstory here. Like, and you start feeling for these people, and there's all and the amount that if this happens maybe even 100 times in a year, I wouldn't be surprised. But definitely in the high tens. Like, it keeps happening to different characters, and that everyone has their own unique story and stuff. That's really, it makes you feel like, no, none of these deaths are just inconsequential and doesn't matter. These people had lives, they had stories, they had families, they were part of kingdoms. And then they die here. Also like that there was like a games thing, like Olympic Games just showed up here close to the end of the story. Like, that's random, but it was fun and interesting. And the characters often feel kind of petty about their arguments and how they this is definitely some poetic liberties I'm sure they took. I mean, obviously a lot of this is the question about how much of this is real, and I mean, you would think how much is fiction? 90%, more. But I mean, I feel they played the war probably. I don't know enough about this history to know what it is. But I mean, yeah. But it is the pettiness between the characters and how they would like, and they would like, and you could just see somebody like when someone says something to somebody, you would see a modern day person if there was a modern day person sitting there like, "Ooh, ban, that's like, whoa, I can't believe you said that to your friend about your friend, whoa." Yeah. It's not necessarily an easy read. The fact that it's so much info coming at you at once, and it's not the most modern translation, but I still, it is, it it is, it is mesmeric, if that's a word, mesmerizing, mesmeric is better. In a way that just goes and creates this world and these images. The Iliad, the Iliad. Probably so far from the old epic poem series, the one with the biggest and most biggest scope of all the ones I've done so far. I haven't done the whole Divine Comedy. I only did Inferno, so I still need the oils. But yeah, if that's your type of jam, go into it. I really do.